Rich. All right. You all ready to go?
Yep. So just go ahead and hit something down here at the bottom.
Yep. There you go. And
Okay.
here's your clicker.
Okay.
And here's your microphone.
I'm gonna have the students help me.
Yeah, you can pass it. It picks you up pretty well, so you don't have to necessarily have it put it on.
We shall see how they do.
Okay.
How's your foot? So much better. Just can't wait to get this boot off.
Yeah. Your hand is all fine?
No. How's your back doing?
It's fine. The bruise is completely gone.
It's gone already?
Yeah. It's just.
I'm gonna have them try to do this before you get started.
Okay, good.
If you will try this and see if you can log in. This is what we were trying to do the other day. I found out today they thought they had it fixed. They've been working on it, and when I called them, they said, "Oh, we didn't know." So we're gonna try it.
Yeah, the bruise is gone, but there's still kind of like a bump. I've never had it before, like from a bruise, but it formed some sort of bump underneath
Hopefully it's not
my
a
skin.
Hematoma.
yeah.
No, there's only so much we want to know.
And we don't want
No
to see
offense,
it.
It's gone. The bruise is gone.
John and I are doctors. We'll get you out fast either.
I can cure insomnia. He is field tested.
Okay, so
Years
you
of
were doing
practice.
the same thing John got, but my sister got something completely different. And she could go right into it, so anybody else not seeing
That was a great joke.
I'm not attending the trip. I'm just in the class tomorrow.
His wife said.
same thing?
Somebody
Okay.
came up and said,
All right, well, we'll call
did you
them.
notice that there were
We're
probably
there.
4 or 5 people asleep during your talk?
Oh, okay.
Because I added
Sleeping in
it.
church was must be one of the best things.
I'll find out if
Or something like that.
Yeah,
He said-
I'll try and have you do
How do you
The
say that?
healthiest
The
sleep
healthiest-
is church sleep or something
It's all
like
the
that.
information.
Well, I once
so why
said
we
the
have
secretary
to-
talk,
all
if
the
I die, I want to
information
die in
is
church.
good.
I'll probably be good.
He had
Right after the Sabbath.
Right, yeah, right. So I'm not thinking any bad thoughts.
she would die and she'd fall backwards with her mouth open. Looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
I can look it up, it's online. I'll have to look
Yeah,
it
they,
up.
the guys in the bishopric, they that guy,
I'm going to refresh it. Let's see if I
one of them's a
can
doctor,
redo it.
and he sits up, he was saying, he's looking at one guy, he's like, I'm worried about it. Is he dead? Because
That's it. What you couldn't tell you. Should we carry him out or not? Both of them. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing calm for the presentation last time. I was supposed to.
Yes, but they gave a good excuse for it.
Yeah, and I made the weather.
That's what they told us too.
Yeah.
So you're excused for the
Things work like
presentation.
so that you know where
Did you
are
do
to
good
a
at the
bid
meet?
to emergency personnel. We'll send it out in on paper.
Please do well.
And on Tuesday I was
Now they have it
in that
online.
meeting.
Yeah, don't ask my wife for contact.
Almost senior itis?
Yeah, exactly.
End of the year itis.
And the yeah. I guess.
Dr. Keith, how do you say that you've been helping students to indicate a need for assistance? I haven't needed any assistance. I really know.
100%. I gave you a
Doing an
100.
evaluation?
Yeah.
Well, this is John's evaluation.
Hey,
Oh, it has your name.
you're not supposed to collaborate unless there's some benefit.
Yeah.
You're just missing an opportunity.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that I place the blame on John.
Well, that's true, yeah, you could say, well, except for, you have to wait till you have to wait till you go on the script. So,
That's right. You can both
don't do that right now.
These are you, like next week, though.
I don't know, maybe, I don't know, but it's always gone.
Ow.
Yeah. You need to fill in anything you want. Random.
Did the roll call now?
Close my eyes.
No, I didn't. Chris, we have a roll.
Oh. No. Where's everybody?
That's what I was saying.
Semester's over.
3:59.
Yeah, didn't you hear they closed?
Okay, whoever's not here now, we'll get an nap. How about that? I always like to tell the story about the grading scheme that was used in my 7th grade PE class. The guy was a PE teacher, didn't care what grade he was. Okay, and the room had 5 rows in it. He said, okay, everybody, this row gets an A, this row gets a B, this row gets a C, this row gets a D.
I can leave. Woohoo.
And he passed out the grades that way. Fortunately, I was sitting in the A row. They didn't want to ever move. Because the way you get to change seats is, I ask questions. If you answer the question right, you move up a row. If you answer the question wrong, you move down. But he never asked any questions. So, fortunately,
My PE teacher would get the lowest grade, he was the slowest runner. Because he would squat him with the board. So I was always like, I don't want to be the last one. So contributes to my running.
that was like my PE teacher. What he would do, we would have dances every month or so. And he would have a paddle and chase any boy around the gym that was not dancing. And he'd try to get him in the paddle. So there's this circus going on around the sides of the gym. With Lon chasing people with the paddle because it's got to be reluctant to dance.
We're living in a post-paddle world today.
We are. That's right. That's the problem. I don't know, dear.
I remember those. Luckily, the girls didn't get paddles.
No.
The boys did. They took them down to the blender room so they couldn't get them. They got the sport.
My butt pain right now.
Okay, it's time to get started. So what we're going to do in order to increase participation is we're going to have each of you read these boring slides. These are very text-heavy slides because it's telling a story. That's a story of early missionary work in Italy and Switzerland. We'll start off, and you've got to be able to read it from where you're sitting, or you've got to have to come to the front. And you've got to read it in a loud, clear voice.
Jeff, I want you to have 2 pairs of glasses, so it might work.
All right. We're going to have John read too. So, yes. All right. Say that again. You got to do it anyway.
Better to say.
So if you don't have a loud voice, you hold it right up to your mouth. So that's the way to do it.
That's only good for people who want to know.
Then you have to say, what? Speak up. Speak up.
I can't hear you.
Okay. You got it. So let's start clicking through the slides.
All right, so this is Lorenzo Snow.
Hey, he's got it right. Lorenzo Snow. So
He was ordained an apostle in Salt Lake City the 12th of February, 1849. I'm related to him.
So how are you related to him?
Ask my dad.
Okay, read another section.
He left on his 3-year mission 6 months later after being ordained an apostle.
Just stretching. Okay, that's the next person.
Elder Lorenzo Snow, who introduced the restored gospel in Italy. He left his family in humble circumstances in Salt Lake City.
What do you think humble circumstances meant? Yeah, they had one log cabin. Everybody lived together in one log cabin. In 1849, how long had they been in Salt Lake Valley? 2 years. 2 years. And Lorenzo had nothing. Pass it to you, the next person. Hold it close, Jared. Right up to your mouth.
Did the people of Italy but know the heart-rending sacrifices we have made for their sakes, he wrote, they could have no heart to persecute.
So he was heavily persecuted on his mission. It was terrible. Because people knew the sacrifices we were making. How could they persecute us?
Accompanied by Joseph Toronto, an early Italian convert who gave all to build the Nauvoo Temple.
Does anyone know the professor here on campus who is his direct descendant? Have any of you had an Arabic class? We have an Arabic professor who is also president of the Italy mission. Now he's president of the mission in Turkey. He's doing his second round of mission presidencies.
And he teaches Arabic?
He teaches Arabic. He also speaks Turkish. So he speaks Turkish, Italian, and English on occasion. He's great.
How can he teach if he's a mission president?
He taught here at BYU, and every now and then they call him on mission to some awful place that nobody else wants to serve as mission president.
Okay. While in Boston, Massachusetts, in 1843, Toronto met Latter-day Saint missionaries, read the Book of Mormon in English, and was baptized by George B. Wallace.
Shortly after joining the Latter-day Saint Church, Toronto's ship collided with another, which almost resulted in Toronto's drowning. Toronto abandoned sailing and moved to Nauvoo, Illinois in 1845 to join the main gathering of Latter-day Saints. He donated his life savings, nearly $2,600 in gold coins, to the building of the Nauvoo Temple. Toronto's donation enabled work to continue after it had stalled due to lack of funds.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit more about the story first. Okay, go ahead. Let me tell you the story. So, Brigham Young worried that nobody had time or money to work on the temple. And he says, okay, well, let's spend everything the church has in paying the workers the best to actually, so they can take off time to work. And on July 7th, Sunday, July 7th, he said, okay, our money is expended. We don't have any more money. We're going to have to stop work on the temple. And he says, somehow the Lord will provide. And a lot of the other apostles kind of scoffed and said, yeah, that's going to happen. And the next day, Monday, Brother Toronto walks in. He was just a humble sailor. No one thought he had anything. Instead, he took off his money belt, which was full of oyster cans. And in the oyster cans, he had $2,600 in gold. He says, okay, I'm donating what I have to the building of the temple. And he laid his money belt at the apostles' feet. And Brigham Young said, see, all you doubters, the Lord would provide. He has provided. And he and Brother Toronto were best friends from then on.
The story of Brigham Young's speech on Sunday, July 7th, 1845, and Toronto's donation on Monday, and Dr. Bernheisel's reaction.
Okay. Does anybody know who Dr. Bernheisel is? He was a prominent citizen. He was a prominent citizen in Nauvoo. And some people kind of looked down on Italians for some reason. And also he looked down on them because he was short.
and he had a heavy accent, and he had such a sincere testimony that he would get excited. The more excited he would get, the more his Italian accent would come through until he was almost unintelligible. But they said he had a puppy dog-like enthusiasm for the work, and that's why he donated $2,600 in gold. My heavens.
After arriving in Italy, Elder Snow was impressed to begin laboring among the Waldenese, a Protestant group located at the base of the Alps in the Luzerne Valley. He concentrated his efforts in the Latour, presently the city of Tori, I don't know, something. The people there were remnants of a religious sect found in France in the 12th century by Peter Waldo. Driven by persecution, they had sought refuge in northern Italy. Their isolated location enabled them to retain their religious traditions and preserve several dialects of their native tongue.
Impressed with the prospect of success among these people, Elder Snow soon wrote about after his arrival. With a heart full of gratitude, I find an opening is presented in the valleys of Piedmont, when all other parts of Italy are closed against our efforts. I believe that the Lord has there hidden up a people amid the Alpine mountains, and it is the voice of the Spirit that I shall commence something of importance.
During the months he was in Latour, Elder Snow and his companions often climbed Mount Castelluzzo, which he named Mount Brigham, to visit the Waldenson families. He loved its natural beauty. The clouds often enwrapped these mighty eminences, he wrote, and hid their frowning grandeurs from our view. At other times they are covered with snow, while at their feet the vine and fig tree are ripening their fruit.
You'll love it when you find it to Milan and see one of the prettiest places on earth.
The harvest among the Waldenses for which they had worked and prayed didn't materialize on the scale they had hoped. Weighted down by religious tradition, few who heard the message, either Protestant or Catholic, were equal to the challenges faced by those who dared break with the past. However, of the 211 Italians who joined the church during those first years of missionary work in Italy, most of the converts were Waldenses. Most who remained faithful immigrated to America.
And there's where they lived. There's a picture of the valley floor. Oftentimes the descendants would go and gather there to commemorate their Italian heritage. This is 1850 to 1853.
Old homes of the Waldensons, high on the mountainside. Active missionary labors continued among these people from September 1850 until 1853, when the missionaries left to proselyte in other areas.
So where do you think they went to in 1853? What was that? England? And they'd already been to England.
No, right down there.
They crossed over the summit, the same path we're going to be doing, the Grand St. Bernard Pass, and went to Switzerland. They started in French-speaking Switzerland, with Geneva, and went from there out. French-speaking, they already knew a little French. That's what they started. So,
Eliza R. Snow had an interesting story on her brother's prayer, where he told the Lord that he knew of no sacrifice he could possibly make he was not willing to offer to see the work move forward.
does anyone know the story? I'm sure everyone that has a Relief Society or priesthood manual has read the story of the last year. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh no, I was doing my method. I actually don't know what it is.
John? Chris? Nobody?
I'm a clerk, I never go to any meetings.
Well, you got a good excuse. Okay, here's the story.
They couldn't get anyone to listen to them, and they figured, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then a little boy, an 18-month-old or something like that, got really, really sick, and the parents said, "Can you heal this boy?" So Brother Snow didn't speak much Italian. They didn't speak much English, but he says, "Look, we're going to bless this boy, and the Lord's going to heal him." So they decided to do that. and he was at the point of death, and they anointed him, blessed him, and he was better the next day. And the parents were overjoyed, and that started the work moving forward.
All life pictures have their backgrounds, and the death referred to the death of his wife Charlotte threw a damper on what otherwise might have been an excess of enjoyment. But much more of instruction is to be drawn from the circumstance of this death than would strike the uninformed reader. It stands as an uncontroverted testimony that God sometimes at least takes us at our word and holds us responsible for the fulfillment of covenants which we make with him.
So this is Eliza R. Snow, in retrospect, telling the story. So she's writing the story of their family. Her brother, Lorenzo Snow, others, brothers and sisters, and she's got a story to tell about this blessing that Lorenzo Snow gave.
On the mountain in Italy, which was subsequently named Mount Brigham, on the same memorable day in which the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was there organized, Lorenzo, in the force of his spirit, aroused by intense interest in the work devolving upon him, which seemed shrouded in darkness and probably without realizing the weight of his covenant, told the Lord that he knew of no sacrifice he could possibly make he was not willing to offer, that the Lord might grant a request concerning the mission before him. When I received a copy of the report of the proceedings of the day in which the above was included, I was deeply struck with the coincidence. Just at this time, as nearly as I could calculate, by comparing dates and distances, the Lord removed by the hand of death from my brother's family circle one of the loveliest of women.
So Lorenzo didn't realize that at that time that the Lord would require that he make a sacrifice. And so within that very hour, someone passed away. So keep going.
Charlotte died very suddenly. I was with her and saw her draw the last breath. Her beloved husband was very far away, but his name was on her dying lips. She loved truly, for she loved sincerely, and as she loved, so was she beloved by all who knew her. As she had been very beautiful in life, she was very beautiful even in death. She left one dear little girl, which, although bereaved of a tenderly affectionate mother, has been kindly cared for by other members of the family, and is now wife of an honorable husband and mother of 5 children.
So Charlotte passed away, but they gave the little girl to another wife of Lorenzo to raise. Charlotte was only 25 at this time, but Charlotte was his first wife, just as an FYI.
Eliza R. Snow continues, I will here relate a very singular circumstance which occurred after Charlotte's death. Charlotte and Sarah Ann, another wife, had roomed together, as it will be recollected that prior to his going to Italy, Lorenzo had erected a log house as a temporary expedient for shelter to his family, till he had time and opportunity to provide better, and was soon called to leave. That very little opportunity was afforded for furnishing more than necessity required, and of course his wives were not supplied with extra apartments.
Okay, go ahead.
How many wives did you have?
Polygamy had just been instituted. They're back in Utah. And there was no regulation against it. So, you know what Mark Twain said about polygamy? They were doing the highest possible thing in providing wives for husbands for all these wives that were left homeless otherwise. So it was expected that they would take additional wives. So the next slide or two, I'll show you that. All right. Go ahead, Fred.
After Charlotte's death, Sarah Ann felt such a sad loneliness that, with all the control of feeling she could exercise, a shuddering sensation came over her at the thought of sleeping in that, to her, desolate room. It required all the bravery she could command to enter it in the daytime, and for several nights she made her bed in an adjoining room, until the following circumstance, which she related to me, occurred.
One night, whether asleep or awake when the vision commenced, Sarah Ann could not tell, but she thought it was midday, and the family were all seated in their dining room, when a very bright light, above the brightness of the sun, burst into the apartment, and in the midst of that light Charlotte entered, sat down, and took her little daughter, Rex's Charlotte, on her lap, and the extra light in which she came disappeared. She said she was happy, which her calm, settled expression verified. She said, "I dwell in a beautiful place." The brilliant light returned after a short time, and Charlotte went as she came in the midst of the light. At this time Sarah Ann was fully awake, and although no moon was shining at the time, her room was sufficiently lighted that, as she describes it, one could see to pick up a pin. This singular manifestation so completely revolutionized her feelings that on the following day, with the greatest pleasure, she replaced her bed in the deserted room, from whence all gloom and loneliness had departed.
So why do you think the Lord did this? What's your thoughts on this? Why did he hold Lorenzo? He promised you there's no sacrifice you could possibly make that you wouldn't make to see the work move forward. It's okay, that's the sacrifice. It seems unfair to have a wife pass away all the way around the other side of the earth. So what are your thoughts?
Well, he knew that Lorenzo Snow was eventually going to become the prophet, and so he knew to test and all things like this, probably part of his testing, and the Lord knew what he could eventually be made of, but Lorenzo Snow had to know what he was made of and what he'd be willing to give, and show that he was worthy to be the Lord's prophet.
But why do you think this other woman, Sarah Ann Pritchard, had this vision? What's the purpose of that? I think you know the answer. Why do you think Sarah Ann Pritchard had this vision of Charlotte after she passed away? What's the purpose? To comfort her? To comfort her, and she could stand as a witness and say, look, Charlotte's in a far better place than any of the rest of us, and she's happy, and it's not a punishment for anything she did wrong. And she knew for a fact that she was happy and she didn't have any bad feelings after that. Anyway, anything else you want to say? Jared?
Well, I was just saying, I bet they needed a missionary on the other side of the veil, and that's who better than a companion of one of the people serving on this side.
That's right. You know the thoughts? So let me show you the sequence up here. Here's Lorenzo Snow's tombstone up in Salt Lake. Lorenzo Snow, president, and Charlotte Squires is the first name on the other side where his wives are also buried. And Sarah Ann Pritchard is the last name. So you can see there's several in between. Okay, now we're moving from Italy in 1850 to Switzerland in 1853. You know, after the missionaries hiked up over the mountains back in Switzerland, they started to work there. So, who wants to read this story? Go ahead.
Hans Ulrich Breiner Jr., early convert from Zurich, Switzerland. A story of two visions he had. In 1843, when Hans was 16 years old, his best friend died. Hans was also very sick, and he thought he would die as well. During this time, he had a vision, a man with peculiar eyes and dark glasses, took him by the hand and led him halfway around the world in the dark to a glorious city of gold, where the writers were all allowed to enter. He didn't know what his dream meant. In time, he recovered from his illness, married Anna Maria Dorothea Mathis, long name, and began their family. In the winter of 1853, at the age of 26, Hans had an accident while dressing a hog. The hoof of the pig slipped of the gamble pin and struck him in the left eye, bursting the pupil. Wow. Bursting the pupil.
Yeah, it sounds pretty awful. How would you like that to happen? So, as a matter of fact, he won several gold medals for his ability to dress up. Apparently, he's really good at it. But anyway, after losing his left eye, this is what happened.
His brother, Caspar Briner, who was working nearby, saw the accident and led him to the hospital on the banks of the Seal River in Zurich. He lay in the hospital with an infection for 6 weeks, and then the infection crossed to the other eye. Soon after, typhoid fever set in, causing total blindness in both eyes. While he was trying to recover, he had another vision, essentially the same as the first. The same man appeared to him again in a very dark room. A fire rose up before him, and a voice came to him saying, "That fire you have to go through." In his vision, he said, "I am able to stand that too." Then, as in the first vision, he was led halfway around the world in the dark.
Why was he led around the world in the dark? You gotta put two and two together to figure this one out. Yes, he goes to Salt Lake, but he's totally blind. Yeah, he had the same vision several years earlier when he could see, but he was totally blind at that point. Any other thoughts? By the way, this is the river that runs through Zurich. We oftentimes go to co-op right here. Go down this main drag over here where the largest banks in the world are. It's a great place to eat. We wish we could have taken you there. And we would eat the place that serves good Swiss cuisine. But anyway, the hospital was also right there on the banks of the river that his brother spent months at until he left. But why do you think he had to have these visions? Why oh why?
It was just prophetic of what was going to happen in the future, that he was being prepared to go halfway across the world blind, being led by a missionary that perhaps the first vision was saying this is what's going to happen, and the second vision was saying, okay, that now this is time. Like, you're blind now you still have to find the person who can take you to the other side of the world.
So who do you think would be the first person to accept missionaries? Okay, whose turn is it to read?
After the second vision, and while still in the hospital, Hans heard that there were two missionaries from America preaching a new gospel. They were to preach in Bern on the following Sunday. Bern was a 2-hour walk from Zurich. Hans was too ill to go, so he persuaded his wife and family to attend.
Tell me again about the men you saw in your dream. How were they dressed, and about the men who wore dark glasses? Grandmother asked, "Can you think of two men you knew before you went blind who looked like the men you saw in the dream?" She further said, "I saw two men, and I know that if you can describe them, I know that your dream is true." So Father did describe the two men he had seen in his dream, and his description of them were exactly to every detail the description of the two men that they had seen and heard on Sunday. He even described their long-tailed coats, the man with the peculiar eye who wore dark glasses, and the man who was tall.
Then, a month later, those very missionaries knocked on their door, and they stayed and slept in Hans' room that night.
Hans was the father of the family, and although he was only 26, this was his house. He gave up his room. Well, that's where they lived. Beautiful place. Sheesh. Yeah.
I'm guessing you know who those missionaries are, right? What's with his eye? What's weird about it?
I tried to find a picture of it, but I couldn't find any more details than what the writers recorded. Dark glasses, so he had a funny eye.
I thought it was gonna be him, like he saw his future self, you know, 'cause, like he got kicked in the eye, and that was like weird. I thought,
Okay, well, we're gonna read the story anyway.
Father was converted and was the first one to be baptized. In 1856, he and his wife, with other members of his family, immigrated to Utah. On across the plains, he walked all of the way with a man driving his ox cart, which he had purchased when when arriving in America.
So the way he got to Salt Lake City, he went to the back of the wagon and walked the whole way. And so they spent several months building hand carts for other pioneers working across with the hand cart company. But then they left in a wagon about the same time, but they suffered the same fate as the pioneer hand cart people. And father that was blind got severe frostbite in his feet, and they arrived on Christmas Eve, whatever the year was. And Brigham Young looked at him and said, make a poultice out of crushed sagebrush and snow and something else. And he says, make that poultice, put it on his feet, and you'll be healed. And so they did it. His feet recovered from frostbite. And so he didn't need to have no fever and be blind, but he recovered completely.
At the age of 77, Father went back to St. George to do temple work. Through his efforts during the past years, he gathered genealogy for 5,000 of his kindred dead and traced his own direct line back to his sixth great-grandfather, born in 1495. At the age of 78, he had a stroke and died February 8, 1905, and was buried on February 11, 1905, in St. George, Utah. His posterity at the time measured 78.
Amazing. Posterity is 78 to age 7. He only had 2 wives, though. Only 2 wives. But still.
how did you find 5,000 of his like dead relatives? Because he was blind, couldn't read.
I have no idea. Maybe somebody else.
Okay.
He did the temple work.
Maybe he had visions like they came and told him.
That's what was recorded in the diary. Okay, whose turn is it?
Hans joined the church in 1853, but who was the mission president in 1869 in Switzerland and spoke German, and who was converted?
Which mission president was the first mission president to ever speak German and go to Germany? The missionaries were outlawed in many German countries. He was the first mission president ever that spoke German. Karl Maser. So we're circling back to Karl Maser. Karl Maser had been converted when some missionaries surreptitiously entered Germany at his request. He had to write twice. They snuck into Germany, preached the gospel to it. They joined the church, and then he left because the church was so persecuted. But he came back as mission president. John Kuntz Jr. So his first contact and refused the gospel. Years later, he declared, it took a Karl Maser to teach me the truth. So who do you think this John Kuntz Jr. was? John Kuntz Jr. was Justin Kuntz's 4th great-grandfather and his 3rd great-grandfather. How is that possible? What was that? 2 different family lines. So cousins married each other a generation apart. So where do you think they lived at the time? Where could this happen? Where cousins married each other? Kentucky, good guess. Arkansas, that's a good guess too.
Louisiana.
Cousins if you're lucky.
No, in southern Idaho. So we're all cheesemakers. And they all kind of lived in the same area. That's why cousins, a generation apart, married each other. So that's how it was. So who's Justin Kuntz? Now you can see that one of his coins. I think he's the premier medallic sculptor in the country. His most recent coin was just released last Thursday and probably sold out. So this is when it was released last Thursday. This beautiful gold coin. How much do you think this costs? 1 ounce gold coin?
$2,000.
$2,000. If I could afford it, I would buy it. Justin said if he could afford it, he would buy one. Probably can't. But Justin said that coin was not his best work. This one is. Ta-da! We're getting back. So this is the one that he designed. And we contacted Joseph Rickey, who's the premier sculptor in the church. Joseph just a few days ago said he would do it. But he said, unfortunately, my father just died. So he's got to bury his father. Things slowed down a little bit. But and also chosen a minting company. We minted the Sunshine Mint in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They are the best in the country, and they're enthusiastic about doing this. I emailed them an email and said, would you consider doing this? And I sent it. But 2 minutes later, they called back and said, okay, let's talk about this. And they said, let's have a conference call between our president, our best artist, and others. And they wanted to talk to everybody we had down here to do it. They are enthusiastic. Probably because their best artist is also a BYU Idaho grad. And so I think they said this is a good medal. So they're working on their end right now and saying, okay, well, based on this design, what are they going to do? So they kind of got that in their court for me. Like I say, hopefully in the fall, when we come back, this will all be done. And each buy one for $50. We're trying to make money. So other students can do what you're doing. But there'll only be a 1 ounce silver coin. That's 1 ounce silver.
$20.
Yeah, $20. That's okay. $5 to get it minted coin. But you know, you should buy additional coins and pass them to your family, your kids, your wife, anything possible that we can sell more coins. So anyway,
They won't work in the machine.
Have your parents give it to you for your birthday.
That's right.
And your grandparents. And your grandparents. And your
It probably would work in the machine. I think the machine probably just takes slightly smaller, which they use now. They don't use 1 ounce silver coins anymore, but you can always try it.
So this will be the size of what?
I think old 1 ounce silver dollar, back in the old days.
Right.
Be the same size. Okay, we're done. So.
Well, let's try this. I've added everybody's name again. I still don't know. Everybody will log onto their computer. We're going to see if you can log on and put your information on for BYU in case you get lost, in Italy or something. So go to itms.byu.edu. Did it work this time? And then when you get in there, you're going to go to BYU Library. Oh, it's still not right.
It's still not working
ITMS. Oh.
It's trouble.
That's really strange. It worked for our student worker today when we asked them.
I just logged down, logged back in.
And it's changed?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I added everybody back in and took them off then. Okay, we'll keep trying. Apparently the students were not able to add to it until I found it. They were starting to work on it, and they worked on it yesterday and they thought it was working. And I called today and said, we can't get it to work. So we've got a problem then. So then they had us try something else, and apparently it's still not working. It might be that we have all the information because you put it on your
help form that said who to notify if you had an emergency. And so we could add it. I could have one of the girls in the office add it, but I thought it would be easier if you just added it yourself. But anyway, all right, that's all I have.
What's our plan for Thursday, Dr. Keith?
Tomorrow? Or
John,
this
Dave
week?
Chingy, Chris, and I, and Catherine are going to tell you everything you need to know.
Packing, everything. Don't miss Thursday.
Unless you're not gonna.
Safety.
Unless you're not going.
Michael will go have a dinner.
Yeah, let's go party.
Is it this Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday. Dr. Keith has pictures to show you.
If you haven't got your flight information to me, will you do that? Because we kind of want to know who's coming and going when.
He's in the week outside.
And who needs to be at the Milan airport when, because I think, I can't remember who it was, someone in here has to be there at 9 a.m. the day that we leave, so we don't want them to miss their flight thinking that everybody's leaving there. So email that to me.
Oh, yeah, no.